Welcome everyone. Today we're entering the world of biometrics. We're going to talk about fingerprinting, one of the most reliable and one of the oldest methods in forensics. Okay. Many people think if you watch CSI that, you scan a print, put it in a computer says beep, beep, beep. There you go, match found instantly. But in reality, it's not really that fast, right? And it's not really, you just scan it in the computer and call it a day. Right? It comes down to specific science of patterns and microscopic details. So today we're going to learn about how to identify 3 fundamental classes and the tiny minutia that makes you unique in every person. All right, so the 3 fundamental classes, right? So before we begin, we have to look at these 3, and they really can be categorized into these 3 broad categories. First one being the arches. It's about 5%, the rarest, right? Found in people. Second is the loops. That's about the 65%, so the most common one. So most people, if you look at your print, you might have this. And finally, whorls, right? That makes up our remaining 30%. And kind of looks like a circular bullseye kind of thing, right? So let's break these down and find rules for identifying each one of these. So first, we have arches. So if you look at the yellow lines on the right-hand side of the screen, right, the rule of arch is fairly simple. Ridges enter from one side of the finger and exit the opposite side. Like think of it like a wave or a hill. Right? And this pattern, the arches, falls into 2 types of categories. Plain arch, just a small, gentle hill. The other one is tented arch, like a sharp vertical spike in the middle, like a camping tent pole or something. And if you were to look for a delta, like a triangular intersection of ridges, there aren't any for arches. So if you actually look at the picture here on the right, this is more closer to what a fingerprint would look like. You should see the arches within the red circle. Next, we have loops. Okay? So if you look at the blue diagram on the right-hand side, unlike the arch, the ridges here enter from one side of the loop, enter from one side and loop around and exit the same side they entered from. And we classify these based on which way the loop flows. If it flows towards the thumb, it's a radial loop. And if it flows towards the pinky, it's a ulnar loop. And to be a valid loop, there has to be exactly 1 delta. Right? So imagine that triangle on the right-hand side. You can see it marked there on the bottom right-hand of the pattern. And this is what it would look like if you looked at a thumbprint. Right? The loop is in the circle, and if you actually look towards the bottom right, where that line is, you should be able to see a delta pattern right there. Next, we have whorls. Okay? Finally, this shown here in the green, these are complex circular patterns, like a whirlpool, right? Rigid spiral or a circle around the central core. And the way to identify this, right? Only pattern that has 2 or more deltas. So here, just on the diagram, you'll see the 2 plus deltas there on the bottom right and the left-hand side. If you look at the diagram here again, which for more of a real fingerprint, you should see the whorl in the middle. And if you actually follow the lines on the left and right-hand bottom of that red circle, you should be able to identify the 2 deltas on there. Okay, so next we're going to look at bifurcation, right? We're looking at the minutia. So now if the suspect has a loop or a whorl, right, narrows the field down, but it doesn't really prove the identity, right? So we need to actually look at the minutia, the tiny details. First and most common is bifurcation, right? So imagine you look at the red line on the right. There's a fork on the road, and really just where a single ridge splits into 2. This one's actually really great for softwares, right? It's really easy to identify the Y shape if you actually map it out on a computer and have a computer scan your fingerprint. Next, you have ridge ending, highlighted in the violet on the right. It's pretty much what it sounds like. A ridge runs along, then comes to an abrupt halt. No merging, right? Just the actual stop. When you compare these prints, they look at the spatial relationship between these endings. So for example, there's a ridge ending here, and 3 ridges down, there's another one. Next, we have enclosures. So this one on the right-hand side, right? Sometimes called a lake or an eye. And if you follow the line, just the ridge splits into 2, runs parallel, and then a short distance away, it just fuses back together. Creates a little empty bubble in the middle of the line. Right? And these things are kind of rare, so if you actually find bifurcations or simple endings, and if you actually find this enclosure on a suspect's print, it's actually a very strong point of identification, just because it is rare to find. Finally, we have an island or a dot, right, as shown in the yellow there. It's a ridge that is so short it looks like a period at the end of a sentence, stands alone between 2 ridges. If it's a little longer, we call it a short ridge, but if it's tiny, it's a dot. All right, with that said, if you have any questions, make sure to put it on the comment down below. Thank you.